Because the Sunday Igboho struggle you are seeing is funded by Tinubu. Yes. Because the problem at that time was that Tinubu was having issue with Buhari up north. They weren't going to accept him as a candidate. And he looked at it and said, I helped you guys to get to power. You guys don't want my candidacy. I'm going to tell the Yoruba people to leave. He started funding them. They have not denied it. So, Buhari, being who he is, came and tried to kill Sunday Igboho. Without informing the governor of Oyo State, they brought a special force or special forces from Abuja to come and kill Sunday Igboho. Sunday Igboho was in that house.
Yo, 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 Jagaban. Yo, 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 Jagaban. Yo, 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 Jagaban. Now here we want to Jagaban. Who they want them? Our mama, papa want them. Shiva, we want them. The same people will give us Jagaban. Now the same people going to tell us, say, Jagaban is not good again. Which way Nigeria, because the government don't favor them, they want us to touch Jagaban government, but the people everywhere. Yo, 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 Buhari finish 8 years. Jagaban go finish 8 years. We go there for church. Yo, 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 Jagaban. Yo, 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 Jagaban. Yo, 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 Jagaban. Now here we want to Jagaban.
Yo, 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 Jagaban. Àwọn ọmọ Yíbò lẹ́gbọ́n tán kọrin yẹn, tán kọrin wọ́n ti revolution lu wọn lọ́wọ́ yìí. Gbogbo wọn sọ pé sẹ́ kò sí tó jóbi, kò sí tó jẹ́ Fúlàní, Jagaban làwọn fẹ́ bá lọ nílẹ̀ Yíbò. Àwọn south wọ́n ní kí ló ṣubú tàwọn, wọ́n ní kán wá lọ wo gbótú tí Tinubu pa sílùú àwọn ní infrastructural facilities tó ti wà lù yẹn. Ẹ káàárọ̀ ẹ káàsán kúrò lẹ́kàlẹ́. Mo kàn wọ́n mọ̀ fi yẹn wọlé. Káwa náà lè mọ̀ pé àwa Yorùbá tá a ṣe ń tako Tinubu. Failure lọ̀rọ̀ yẹn bá dé o. There's no any candidate tó lè continue 2026, 2027 Africa fún Tinubu láyé. Ẹni bá bínú mi ò apologize láti sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Torí pé àwa tẹ̀rí, àwa believe nínú security ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹ̀ntà dẹ̀ fẹ́ gbà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ Tinubu ni. Mo kí wa káàárọ̀ káàsán kúrò lẹ́ẹ̀kalẹ́. Ẹ kú dédé àsìkò yẹn sì kú gbójú ọjọ́ tìrí. Ẹ wo fídíò tí mo fi wọlé ká tó play orin táwọn ọmọ Yíbò ṣe fún Tinubu. Ṣé mọ̀ pé nọ́tánà la máa ń gbọ́ tán ṣe orin fún Tinubu tẹ́lẹ̀. Ìyàwó tó ní ka Tinubu tẹ̀gẹ́gẹ́gẹ́ tó Tinubu máa nù kan Haúsá tó máa ń kọ àwọn yẹn la mọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀. But nísìn àwọn ọmọ Yíbò náà ti ṣorin kọ́ dídí jáde confidently tán ṣorin fún Tinubu pé ó gbọ́ Jagaban làwọn fẹ́ Yíbò. Orin yẹn lẹ́gbọ́ tí mo tún dójú wọn sí pápá tó bá ti cha kwenu now Sowore irọ́ yálé àbí kìtì ẹ̀ ní bàbá Èkìtì pè náà ó ń dórúkọ kan Sowore kí ló jẹ́ náà Sowore kíní kan yálé irọ́ yálé ló pè ó ní Sowore irọ́ yálé ní bàbá Èkìtì pè Sowore ń pa irọ́ ṣẹ́ráwọ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá tá bá jẹ́ kí nǹkan méjì ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wa a máa blame ara wa. Àkọ́kọ́ tá bá jẹ́ kán pa Ìgbòho mọ́ wa lójú. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì tá a bá fọwọ́ ara wa ta Tinubu jáde tán wá gbé Fúlàní wọlé. Ṣé ti bá àwọn méjì tó tẹ́dìsì fẹ́ falẹ̀ Kwakwaso president Obi vice oya níbo ni Yorùbá wà failure. Ẹ̀yin ẹjẹ́ àtúráyè ẹ̀bẹ̀ 2027 ẹjẹ́ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ mú ẹ láṣẹ tí màmá wò rí. N tó máa ń dùn mí ni pé ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ní diaspora tẹ́ bá ti Tinubu jẹ́ ńlé ẹ̀ ní wá bá wa fojú winá n tó ń dùn mí nìyẹn. tẹ́ wà diaspora ẹ̀ náà kó tó bá jẹ́ kó máa kàn yín náà ni kí Kwankwaso kó win kó di president. Fulani ni Kwankwaso bóyá ẹ̀ tí mo ẹ lọ túlé kan o, pure Fulani man, pure Fulani. Bí El-Rufai ṣe jẹ́ Fulani bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni Kwankwaso jẹ́ Fulani. Kí Kwankwaso wá jẹ́ kó jẹ́ president, kàn fi Obi kàn fi ṣe vice, ìyẹn ti mọ̀ pé failure lòun náà, torí wọn ò ní lè sọ kó tọdún mẹ́jọ máa fi pé. Number 2. Number 3 ni wípé nínú gúrùpù wọn yẹn ṣe o máa tán kóra wọn jọ síbẹ̀. Ṣàrẹ́gbẹ́ṣọlá lẹ́nu mẹ́ fashion ni wọ́n ti lé dànù yẹn. Èwo ló jẹ́ èèyàn nínú gbogbo àwọn tán kóra wọn jọ? Torí àlà Yorùbá ò gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe jẹ́ kí nǹkan méjì ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wa. A gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ kán pa Ìgbòho mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́ pẹ̀lú oríṣiríṣi propaganda tó ń gbé jáde, pàápàá jùlọ Sowore irọ́ la bí. Sowore dìde nínú interview tí mo fi wọlé. Sowore sọ pé láti ilẹ̀ wá ó ní kò sí tó jẹ́ Yorùbá nation. Ó ní Pooo, ó ní Tinubu ló sponsor ẹ̀ láti ilẹ̀. Tinubu tó jẹ́ pé arch enemy ó ní Tinubu àti Ìgbòho láti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Àìmọye videos ni Ìgbòho ṣe tó against kí Tinubu ti ẹ̀gbá kò tí rárá débi pé kó campaign. Ara àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tó sọ ń gbà yẹn ló ṣẹ̀ wá fẹ́ gbogbo lẹ̀ ló ń bẹ̀bẹ̀ sí. Tó yẹ pé lóòótọ́ ló jẹ́ Tinubu ló sponsor Ìgbòho láti ilẹ̀. Ó ní pé torí pé gbà yẹn ìjà wà láàrin Tinubu, máa ní complain interview yẹn kẹgbọ́. Àníṣòwò rẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ lórí ẹ̀ ti sọnù. Gbogbo èyí tẹ́ bá ń tẹ̀lé náà ẹ̀ ti ní blame problem, dementia ti ń dà ìlàmù. Ó jáde ní láìpẹ́ yìí, ó wá pè Ìgbòho ní àmàlà freedom fighter, shop by shop. Ẹbí pé ta ni shop by shop? Kò sẹ́nikẹ́ni nínú olóṣèlú tó dá láyé lójú Sowore òun nìkan ló dáa jù. Wọ́n pe máa kan ní bóyá lẹ́sọ̀ tí àbí nǹkan kan lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí àwọn àti Igbo àti South tí wọ́n gbé fún máa yẹn wọ́n ní is the best governor ní area àwọn yẹn lọ́wọ́ yìí. Wọ́n ló transform ìlú yẹn gan, bóyá Anambra Akwa Ibom. Wọ́n ròyìn máa yẹn. Sowore lọ́bẹ̀ ó lọ disgrace ẹ̀, ó ní nonsense ló ṣe, ó ní kò ṣiṣẹ́ kankan. Àwọn Igbo yìn lọ, wọ́n yìn máa yẹn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. They said is the best. Sowore lọ síbẹ̀ ó lọ disgrace máa yẹn, ó ní he has done nothing. And I begin to ask myself, Sowore, what is your achievement in Nigeria? Láti 2019 tó ti gbé 2015 kọ́ ló jẹ́ 2015 ló ti jáde ayé first tenure Buhari ní Sowore ti jáde ló ti lóun fẹ́ gbà kò tí. LP Sowore pé since that 2015 what has been his achievement? He has built his house on propaganda. Gbogbo tó ṣe láyé yìí propaganda ni irọ́. And I often said it that Sowore ò torí ẹnikẹ́ni jà, torí àpò ẹ̀, torí Sahara Reporter channel ẹ̀, nǹkan méjì tó torí ẹ̀ ṣe wà láàrin. Ó lọ tún sọ nínú interview yẹn pé òun lòun lọ sí court, táwọn court fi grant àwọn Lady K àtàwọn oníyalé àtàwọn tó kù tó fi wọ́n lẹ̀ kán máa lọ lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́. Ẹ bá mi bí Sowore pé ṣé Sowore ni Ọlájẹ́ngbésì, barrister Pẹ̀lúmi Ọlájẹ́ngbésì tó tapọ̀ pátápátá pẹ̀lú wọn ní court. Wọ́n sì sí omíyalé pẹ̀lú Lady K, wọ́n láwọn ò ní fi wọ́n lé ọ̀fà tó kù lẹ̀. Ọlájẹ́ngbésì tó takù wọn pé ṣé DSS rọ́lẹ́pà fi kóhùn tákán ọtí tó fi fọ́n méjèèjì sílẹ̀. Sowore was only going there as umpire. Kó dẹ̀ rìkọ́dù kó lè post ẹ̀ sí Sahara Reporter. He did nothing there. Lóòótọ́ mo rí court, ó kàn jókòó tí wọ́n ó dẹ̀ wò. Ẹ bá ń bí pé ṣóhun ni lọ́yà, ṣóhun ni judge, èlò ló contribute, kí ni pàtàkì tiẹ̀ tí George máa fi gbọ́rọ̀ sílẹ̀ tó fi máa release àwọn lédìké. Gbogbo ẹ̀ tẹ́ bá ṣì ń tẹ̀lé ṣòwò rẹ̀, you people are just wasting your time. Òun náà ló jáde ló wá ń pe Ìgbòho ní abala freedom fighter. Tá a bá jẹ́ kí rádẹ̀rẹ̀ dẹ́ kí wọ́n kó rẹ́ Ìgbòho tàbí tán bá pamọ́ wa lójú, ojú wa mọ́ Yorùbá. Mo fẹ́ fi fídíò kan mo fẹ́ fi hàn wá kẹ́wo tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí àwọn ọ̀dọ́ Jos ní Plateau State, kẹ́wo tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí àwọn ọ̀dọ́ wọn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Kí ló fà? Torí wípé mo ṣọ̀kan, ìpakúpa làwọn Fúlàní ń pa wọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀. Àwọn ọ̀dọ́ wọn ti wá kóra wọn jọ sìn, àwọn ọ̀dọ́ wọn ti wá kóra wọn jọ sìn, àwọn náà fẹ́ gbàrà wọn lẹ̀. Mo sọ fún wa ní last time fídíò tí mo ṣe last, mo sọ fún wa pé ká gbàgbé pé ìjọba ń bá wa, ìjọba ń gbèjà wa, ìjọba fẹ́ bá wa ṣẹ́gun Fúlàní, kò possible. Ṣé mo reason? Most of àwọn northern governors yẹn pátá, most of them ni wọ́n ti compromise, and I will give you proof. Ma play video kan fún wa. Láṣẹ ní Ìgbòho dandan láti ṣe ní ká bẹ lọ́run kọ́ lọ ń ṣàánú ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, kọ́ lọ ń jẹ́ kí Ìgbòho bá mandate tá fẹ́ kó gbà wá, which is security. The major thing tí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá nídìí tá kọ́kọ́ nídìí lọ́wọ́ yìí ó ní ká kọ́ secure region wa. Kọ́rọ̀ wa má dàbí ọ̀rọ̀ bọ́ṣe àní Tinubu kú ò lé ní wọ́n tún lọ pa wọ́n Jos lọ́la toró ní reason. Àwọn ògbé àṣírí yẹn tú reason táwọn Fúlàní yẹn fi strike. Olóṣèlú sponsor wọn ó dẹ̀ ní tán rí ń bẹ̀ at the detriment of people's life. Mo yẹ sọ pé gbogbo state ni kó hold governors wọn tó ransom, ẹ bí àwọn governors yìí. Ọdún onílẹ̀ Yorùbá ti wá o, àwa sì dúpẹ́. Nítorí ẹ̀jà dúpẹ́ ni pé resources yẹn ò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ dàbí tiwa lọ́dọ̀ tiwa, kò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ dàbí tiwọn lọ́hùn. Wàláhì torí àlùmọ́ọ́nì ilẹ̀ náà ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ mass killing tẹ́ẹ̀rí ní north yẹn ṣe ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Máa fi fídíò kan hàn wá sẹ́ẹ̀, ó wà comprehensive o, wẹ̀ gbọ́ láti ilẹ̀ tókè. Nígbà kan dẹ̀ ti ṣe fídíò yẹn, mi ò rí northern governor kankan, kì í ṣe fídíò mọ́ǹtì, kì í ṣe 3 months ago. Àwọn northern governors yẹn rí wọn tó sọ̀rọ̀. Tó bá pé rọ́ọ̀nì ẹni yẹn pa nínú gbogbo fact tó mú jáde nínú fídíò yẹn, ó yẹ ká ti rẹ́yọ ọkàn nínú àwọn governors yẹn kan ti criticize ẹ̀ pé lọ́ ló pa máwọn. Mass ilẹ̀ tán rí pé àlùmọ́nì yẹn wà, àgàgà ṣe lithium àbí kankan tọ́lọ́ fi ń ṣe battery. Àwọn Chinese yẹn wá rà en masse ni wọ́n wá rà tó dẹ̀ níye tí wọ́n san fún government state láti lé àwọn èèyàn kúrò lórí ilẹ̀ yẹn. Government mọ̀ pa àwọn àsan ṣégeṣège owó fún wọn kò rọrùn. Next state government decide láti ṣe ní kí wọ́n kọ́ spray wọn dànù, kọ́ lé gbogbo wọn kúrò lórí ilẹ̀, kọ́ pa wọ́n pàkúpà. Àwọn ènìyàn lè abandon bẹ́ẹ̀. Àwọn Chinese àwa wọlé wá lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀, wọ́n máa wá mine níbẹ̀. Àní proof wà sẹ́ẹ̀, màá ní complete fún wa ká gbọ́. But before yẹn, now kí nìdí tá a fi nídìí Ìgbòho kó bá wa security? Màá ní complete video kan sí kẹ́ẹ̀wọ́ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wọn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ní Jos. Ó ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wá rí àwọn kan tó wá dìde bí youth. Ìyẹn ni Ìgbòho ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí tó ń bá wa coordinate àwọn tó ń láyà kókó nà kí inú youth, àwọn tó ready. How many thousand lọ ní kó lọ wá? Ìyẹn ló ń ṣe yìí. Tó bá ti wá dé tán ti approve ìwé ẹkùn fún, ó tàn. Ìlú tiwa ò ní dàbí tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wọn ní Jos kó bá má rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Àní ní ibi tí mo fẹ́ fi hàn wáyìí àwọn Fúlàní pa àwọn fẹ́sẹ̀ tèèyàn kò sí ní tó ṣẹlẹ̀. Wọ́n wá tó wá rí òkú màálù pé màálù kan kú, màálù ẹyọ kan kú sínú oko. Àwọn agbófinró dẹ̀ wá, wọ́n dẹ̀ wá arrest àwọn youth. Àfìgbà táwọn youth dá owó tán ra màálù míì. Lẹ́yìn táwọn youth yẹn dá owó tán ra màálù míì, wọ́n tún ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wá pa another set. Wọ́n wá dúró tòkú yẹn, wọ́n dúró táwọn òkú tán pa yẹn. Ọmọkùnrin yẹn wá ń sọ̀rọ̀. Sódìgbò ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá bá dà bẹ́ẹ̀. Sódìgbà tọ́rọ̀ wa bá dà bẹ́ẹ̀. Àbí ní ìdìbò òde yìí kí gbogbo wa máa ṣàdúrà fún ká máa bẹ̀ pé Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ kó gba tó fẹ́ gbà yẹn. Security ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ló kọ́ síwájú òní number 1. Ṣé Yorùbá nation tọ́lọ́ bá sọ pé a máa gbà nírọ̀wọ́ ọ̀rọ̀sẹ̀ ní ìgbà tí region wa bá ti wà secured, tí Fúlàní ò ní láǹfààní láti kó màálù wọnú region wa mọ́. Wọ́n bá dẹ̀ kó wọ́n á ti lówó tán san ní bọ́dà wa kan tó wọlé. Wọ́n á dẹ̀ wà peacefully, wọ́n á padà peacefully, wọ́n ní dóko lóko, wọ́n ní boko lóko jẹ́. Èní nìyẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kejì, wọ́n ní láǹfààní láti sá sínú igbó wa máa jáwọn èèyàn gbé. Ṣé kò wọ́n wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni? Tíṣòwò rẹ̀ wá dìde tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní àtáàkì Ìgbòho káàkiri. Interview tó ṣe yẹn màá ní kọ́ńpìlẹ̀ rí tàbí jẹ́ ká kọ́ gbọ́ ní tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wọn lọ́wọ́ ní Jos bóyá kọ́ńpìlẹ̀.
They have not taken even single permission from the community. We have not given them chance. We have not given them any space for them to live in our own land. And us, they...
Ọmọkùnrin tẹ̀ ń wò yìí, òkú èèyàn ni wọ́n ṣẹ́ ewé bò ó. Gbogbo àwọn ọ̀dọ́ lẹ́rí tó kójọ tán dúró lẹ́yìn ẹ̀yẹn o. Go ahead ni wọ́n retí látẹnu ẹ̀ káwọn náà strike. Eléyìí la lè fi represent Ìgbòho tí wá ń sìn ní tí Ìgbòho ṣe rèé o. Táwọn èèyàn sọ pé dolóṣèlú ẹ̀rọ kàmpé fún Tinubu ṣé ìwọ ni? Ta la fẹ́ kàmpé fún sí bí ó ṣe Tinubu? Àbẹ́wò ló wúlò náà lórí ibú tán kóra wọn jọ dágàdàgà tó kóra wọn jọ yìí. Èwo ló wúlò nínú gbogbo èwo ni ò ti bá Nàìjíríà jẹ́ nù wọn. Èṣù tá a mọ̀ ó sọ̀jọ́ áńgẹ́lì tá a mọ̀ lọ. Òkú èèyàn lẹ́rí tí wọ́n ṣẹ́ ewé bò yẹn. Òkú èèyàn lọkùnrin ìdúró ti yẹn. Òkú àwọn nínú ara àwọn tí wọ́n tún pa lẹ́yìn tí wọ́n ti fowó ra màálù fún Fúlàní padà. Agbófinró wà nítorí èèyàn tí Fúlàní pa ṣùgbọ́n wá torí màálù. Wọ́n wá arrest àwọn youth. Wọ́n wá padà dáwó, wọ́n ra màálù padà. Bá mi bẹ̀rẹ̀ fídíò yẹn káwọn èèyàn gbọ́ dáadáa. Ó yá.
People have been living in this land, and they have not taken even single permission from the community. We have not given them chance. We have not given them any space for them to live in our own land. And us, the real owners of the land, we cannot longer go there to even take our own farm. Our women cannot even go there. Us, the young people, to even go there to even search for what is going to help us, we cannot even get there because they have surrounded us. In fact, whenever we are even going there, if you are not many, definitely will experience this kind of incident. Like last 2 months, the same incident happened that 2 of my youth again died. And I have continued to plead with these youth that are here to even remain calm. I have continued to plead with them to remain calm. The same place that they killed 2 people that are around that Tahe is the same place that the death of a cow was found last 2 weeks, where we were even called for a security meeting for a report, and they detained us that we must provide the people that listen. But where are the people that are listening? And we know that these Fulani people, based on the people that escaped, is Fulani. They saw Fulani people that were even running after this thing. Where are they now? But last week we have to even buy a cow for them. But who is going to pay the life of this youth? And I want to call.
Ṣẹ́gbọ́n tọmọkùnrin yẹn sọ, ó ní last 2 weeks, ó ní wọ́n pa nínú àwọn bẹ́ẹ̀. Ó láwọn fi ṣoṣo àwọn fi para, àwọn pariwo títí. Ó náà ti sọ̀rọ̀ àdí gbogbo àwọn obìnrin àwọn ò lè lọ sódò ọjà, wọn ò lè lọ sódò, àwọn ọkùnrin àwọn ò lè lóko mọ́. Ó ní last week, ó ní wọ́n wá pa màálù ẹyọ kan péré, ó láwọn agbófinró dìde. Wọ́n invite àwọn pé káwọn wá ṣe meeting pẹ̀lú àwọn Fúlàní. onígbà táwọn débẹ̀ wọ́n detain àwọn àfìgbà táwọn ra màálù yẹn padà lẹ́yìn yẹn ni wọ́n wá pa àwọn tí wọ́n dúró tó kú wọn yìí òkú wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ bó ṣe ń tọrọ ẹ̀ iná tí ewé bò ẹ̀ ó wá bí wọn pé ó dá nísìnyí gbà táwọn dáwó ra màálù àwọn rí ó dáwọn lójú àwọn ráwọn Fúlàní tó ń sá lọ tí wọ́n pa àwọn tó ń pa yìí ta ló fẹ́ bá wọn gbowó lọ́wọ́ àwọn Fúlàní àbí kí ni báwo ni Fúlàní ṣe fẹ́ tọ́ràn nígbà tí wọ́n ní káwọn tọ́ràn màálù táwọn pa tí wọ́n pa táwọn mẹ́ni pa tó jẹ́ àwọn ọ̀dọ́ náà detain tí àwọn agbófinró dẹ̀ gba owó ta ló fẹ́ bá wọn jí àwọn eléyìí kí ló fẹ́ jẹ́ ìrètí lọ́dọ̀ àwọn eléyìí máa play ẹ̀ lọ.
And I want to call the attention of the government and the security agency. For so many months, I have continued to plead with this youth to remain calm. And I cannot even stop everybody here from doing what they want to do. And then nobody should come and hold me responsible or come and hold any committee leader responsible of whatever is going to happen. So we are calling them. If they are not going to guarantee our safety, our security here, we will definitely allow the youth to even take their own step, whatever they want to even do. So I'm saying this from today. From today, I will not continue to even speak with the journalists. I will not continue to even talk with people like this. But if the security cannot, imagine since yesterday night that this incident happened, I have not seen, I have tried, I have called the sector, I have called the DSS, I have called the police people. If not only the police people, the B division that went to take the other person to the hospital. But nobody have even come here. No government officials have come here. So I'm still pleading with the governor of Plateau State, even with the president of Nigeria, to come to our own aid. Or if not, we cannot tell the people what they are going to do. We'll be left. In fact, we are going to allow them to do whatever thing they want to do, and no community leader should be held responsible.
ṣé ti gbọ́ ó ti pé gbọ́ ó ti pa wọn dá wọn lóhùn ó ní tóun bá tú àwọn yúùtù sílẹ̀ no community leader should be held responsible for it. Gbogbo bí àwọn ológun wa ṣe ń gbìyànjú láti stop kínní làwọn ọ̀tá Tinubu tọ́jú olóṣèlú ni wọn ò gbà ni wọ́n tún sponsor àwọn Fúlàní ẹ̀ máa pààyàn sí ẹ̀ máa fi sọ lẹ́nu ẹ̀ máa pààyàn sí number 1 yẹn number 2 most of ibi táwọn Fúlàní yẹn ti ń strike àwọn tí wọ́n mine illegally táwọn state governors yẹn dẹ̀ allow kọ́ máa ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ state governor ló ní state ẹ̀ kò sí nǹkan tí Tinubu lè sọ sí state kankan lẹ́yìn kó declare state of emergency tí wàhálà yẹn bá pọ̀ Benue látàyè ọ̀tọ́m fẹ́mọ tútọ́ tí ọ̀tọ́m pa Buhari ó wà láwo wọn gbà yẹn káwọn Fúlàní yẹn kọ́ máa pa tó wù wọn kò sí tútọ́ tọ́ mú òpamọ́ tí ò pa tán nísìnyí Benue sì wà ní Ẹ̀sàfàrà wà ń bẹ̀ Jos wà ń bẹ̀ Kwara wà ń bẹ̀ Kogi wà ń bẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn ibi tálùmọ́ nìyẹn sodo sí gbogbo bẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn Fúlàní yẹn ti strike á dẹ̀ dúró síbẹ̀ à ń pariwo pé Ìgbòho lọ́jọ́ olóṣèlú kí ló ṣe lọ síbẹ̀ ọ̀dàlẹ̀ ni. May Nigeria never happen to us. N tó ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ìnáwó náà ti káàkiri yẹn ọpẹ́ díẹ̀ táwa Yorùbá dá ojú pé àwọn àlùmọ́nì yẹn ò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ sí lọ́dọ̀ tiwa àwọn governors wa ò dẹ̀ wọ́n dàbí táwọn north yẹn wọ́n so dájú láwọn ilé ayé àṣírí nǹkan tó ń fa bí wọ́n ṣe ń pa wá tó ń jí wọn gbé tó ń ṣe ohun tó fà gan-an majority ó ní mo fẹ́ fi hàn wáyé. But before then, ṣé mo pamọ́ Sowore interview Sowore rí.
The Igboho struggle you are seeing is funded by Tinubu. Yes, because the problem at that time was that Tinubu was having issue with Buhari up north. They weren't going to accept him as a candidate. And he looked at it and said, I helped you guys to get to power. You guys don't want my candidacy. I'm going to tell the Yoruba people to leave. He started funding them. They have not denied it. So, Buhari being who he is, came and tried to kill Sunday Igboho. without informing the governor of Oyo State, they brought a special force or special forces from Abuja to come and kill Sunday Igboho. Sunday Igboho was in that house that day, but he was hiding. Before they came back, he had jumped the fence. Even when he was in Benin Republic, he had injuries that they were hiding from you. And he left that night. He left Nigeria that night. They wanted to kill him so that Tinubu will know that they are not playing. That's what happened. So Tinubu had to retreat because it was based on their own security intelligence that Tinubu was behind them. But they had already achieved what he wanted to achieve, which was to scare the Buhari people to know that he has the capacity to disrupt the country. And you know, an average northerner, with due respect to them, their issue is unity.
Kíni kan yà mí lẹ́nu máa ń ro kíní kan. Ṣé ìṣòwò rẹ̀ yìí ṣó ní làákàyè rárá ṣá? Ìbéèrè tó máa ń wá sẹ́mi mi gbogbo wa. Torí bá sọ̀rọ̀ mi gbà mí máa wò pé ṣé brain wà lórí máa ìṣá. Tinubu pẹ̀lú Sunday Igboho níbo. Tinubu á sponsor Sunday Igboho. Gbàrà tó wọlé kọ́ ló máa ti announce pé mo release Igboho. Kúkú tí ìyá ẹ̀kú kò lè kú àbí dọ́ní ìgbà tí Tinubu tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ yìí kọ́ ni ìyá Igboho kú. Nígbà tí Tinubu wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ní Igboho sneak wọlé ló wá ṣèkú yẹn ló tún padà. Kò lọ́sẹ̀ kan tó tún ti sá padà. Sowore, you have brain problem. The best thing ni kí wọ́n lọ sáró kan lọ wo brain ẹ̀.
The Sunday Igboho struggle you are seeing is funded by Tinubu. Yes, because the problem at that time was that Tinubu was having issues.
Àwọn Igbo ti padà lẹ́yìn ẹ̀, àwọn tó sponsor ẹ̀ ti padà lẹ́yìn ẹ̀, rojú àwọn yẹn tán ti là. Àwọn Igbo bá wọn bú Tinubu mọ́, ojú tí wọn náà ti là pé ò gbọ́, a kàn waste time ara wa ni. Security ìlú wa ló jẹ́ ìbí lógún o ló yẹ ká kọ́kọ́ gbàgbára. Tá bá secure lẹ̀ yìí, nǹkan mi máa tẹ̀lé, àníkàtì ẹ̀kọ́ gbára wa náà, kí security yẹn kọ́kọ́ wà. Tó bá ti wá wà, okay, other things follows. Kí wá nìdí tán fi ṣe gbogbo tán ṣe kiri? Kí dẹ̀ nìdí tí ò fi lè tètè store tágbára àwọn àmì wọ̀ fi lè ká? Torí pé báwọn ṣe ń rán nírò làwọn kan fàya ní búbọ̀ tó ń rówó ń bẹ̀. Ó wá kùjọba tó fẹ́ stop wọn láti má ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ gbọ́ fídíò yìí, ẹ gbọ́ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀.
On Christmas Eve of 2023, the villages of Bokos and Barkinladi in Plateau State were wiped off the map. Over 200 Nigerians were slaughtered in their homes. Houses were burned to ashes. The survivors fled to internally displaced persons, IDP camps. The Nigerian media and international news outlets repeated the same tired script. They called it a farmer-herder clash. They called it a religious war between Christians and Muslims. But if you are a forensic investigator, you do not read the press releases, you look at the dirt. A few weeks after the blood dried in Bokos, the herdsmen did not move their cows into the burned villages to graze. Instead, heavy diesel excavators arrived. Foreign contractors, protected by armed local escorts, rolled in. They did not come to plant crops, they came to dig. They were digging for spodumene, the highest grade lithium ore in the world. They were digging for tin, columbite, and tantalite. This is not a religious war, it is a hostile real estate acquisition. The men with the machetes and the AK-47s are just the demolition crew. They clear the human beings off the land. Then, the global mining syndicates walk in to extract the minerals. Those minerals are loaded into trucks, passed through military checkpoints, and shipped out of Lagos to build the battery of an American Tesla or an Apple iPhone. I am a forensic investigator. Today, we are tearing up the script. We are naming the syndicates. We are tracing the blood money from the killing fields of Jos to the global tech supply chain. You are watching Historic Capital. This is the dossier on the blood lithium cartel. If you want to find the killers, you have to find the buyers. Let us go to the Nigerian Mining Cadastre Office, MCO, in Abuja. This is the agency that signs the papers. They issue the exclusive prospecting licenses, take their map of active mining licenses and place it directly over the map of the massacres in Plateau, Nasarawa and Kaduna states. They match with terrifying precision the bloodiest zones in the Middle Belt. Riom, Mangu, Bokos are sitting directly on top of a multi-billion-dollar belt of solid minerals. By law, if a multinational company wants to mine lithium, they must negotiate with the indigenous community. They must pay massive compensation. They must sign a community development agreement. That process cuts into the profit margin. But if an armed militia burns the village to the ground, the villagers run for their lives. The government declares the village a red zone due to insecurity. Once the land is empty, the illegal miners simply drive in. They pay zero compensation. They sign no agreements. They extract thousands of tons of raw lithium ore. They pay the armed militias a protection fee to keep the villagers from returning. The Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, stood on national television and admitted a terrifying truth. He said that powerful Nigerians are sponsoring the bandits to protect their illegal mining operations, but he did not name them. We will. They are the local politicians, the retired military generals, and the traditional rulers who form front companies to hold the mining licenses. They secure the paper in Abuja, and they contract the dirty work to the syndicates on the ground. Who is actually running the excavators in the ashes of Jos? Enter the Chinese mining syndicates. In the last 3 years, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the military have arrested dozens of Chinese nationals deep in the forests of the Middle Belt and Kwara State. In May 2024, the EFCC arrested Chinese operators in Nasarawa State. They confiscated truckloads of stolen, unrefined lithium. These are not rogue, independent miners. They are highly organized, well-funded corporate extraction teams. China controls over 70% of the world's lithium refining capacity. They need raw ore to feed the massive battery factories of companies like KATL and BYD. When the Chinese syndicates arrive in Nigeria, they do not bring armies, they bring cash. They set up operations in places like Ways and Barkin Ladi. They hire the local youth, the same youth whose farms were destroyed, to dig into the toxic dirt for 3,000 naira a day. The Chinese middlemen buy the raw lithium ore from the local militias for absolute pennies. They pack it into 30-ton trucks. Now think about the logistics of this crime. A 30-ton truck loaded with stolen rocks is not invisible. You cannot put it in your pocket. To get from the mining sites in Plateau State to the seaports in Lagos, that truck must drive across 1,000 kilometers of Nigerian highways. It must pass through dozens of police checkpoints. More importantly, it must pass through the checkpoints of Operation Safe Haven, the special military task force deployed to secure Plateau State. How does a massive convoy of stolen lithium drive past the Nigerian military, while the local residents are locked down under a 24-hour curfew? Because the trucks pay the toll. The cartel pays the military commanders, they pay the mobile police, they pay the local government chairman. The security forces do not stop the trucks, they escort them. The citizens are slaughtered, the trucks are protected. When the trucks arrive in Lagos, they meet the customs cartel we exposed in our last dossier. The raw lithium cannot be legally exported without paying massive royalties to the federal government. The Nigerian law says you must refine the minerals locally before export. But the Chinese syndicates do not want to build refineries in Nigeria. They want to extract the raw earth and run. So they buy the signature of a Nigerian customs officer. The customs officer logs into the export database at Apapa port. He classifies the highly valuable lithium or columbite as lead slag, zinc or raw earth. He falsifies the bill of lading. He hits approve. The containers are loaded onto the massive ships of Maersk and MSC. The stolen wealth of Plateau State leaves the shores of Africa. The Nigerian treasury collects zero royalties. The local government collects zero taxes. The ships sail to the ports of Shanghai and Shenzhen. The raw ore is dumped into giant chemical refineries. It is melted down, it is purified. The moment it melts, its origin is completely erased. The blood is washed away in the fire. This brings us to the buyers, the trillion-dollar American technology companies. Elon Musk needs lithium to build the batteries for Tesla. Apple needs it for the iPhone. Microsoft needs it for their servers. You might ask, how can an American corporation legally buy minerals stolen from a burning village in Nigeria? Because the United States government gave them a loophole. In 2010, the US passed the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. Section 1502 of this law was designed to stop the trade of conflict minerals. It forces publicly traded American companies to prove to the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, that their supply chain does not fund armed militias. But read the legal text of the law. The Dodd-Frank Act explicitly defines conflict minerals as those originating in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, or its adjoining countries. Nigeria does not share a border with the Congo. Therefore, under United States financial law, minerals mined by armed bandits in the killing fields of Jos are perfectly legal. A tech company in Silicon Valley can buy thousands of tons of refined lithium from a Chinese middleman. They can put it into an electric vehicle. They can file their paperwork with the SEC in New York, and they can legally stamp the battery as conflict-free. Wall Street looks the other way. The green energy revolution in America is heavily subsidized by the massacres in West Africa. The American consumer buys a Tesla, thinking they are saving the planet. They do not know that the battery was charged by the destruction of an indigenous community in Plateau State. The global tech market demands cheap lithium. The Nigerian cartel supplies the blood, while the foreign syndicates take the minerals. What do the local Nigerian politicians get? They get the emergency budget. Every time there is a massacre in Jos or Kaduna, the state governor goes on television. He cries for the victims. He declares a state of emergency. And then he accesses the security vote. In Nigeria, the security vote is a monthly cash allocation given to governors to fight local crises. But it is a constitutional black hole. The security vote cannot be audited by the Auditor General. It is not subject to legislative oversight. The governor does not have to produce a single receipt. He can withdraw hundreds of millions of naira in raw cash. If Plateau State is peaceful, it is very difficult to justify a massive security vote. But if the state is burning, the governor and the security chiefs can draw billions of naira in raw, untraceable cash. The crisis is the justification for the money. If the military actually wiped out the bandits, the emergency funding would stop. The security votes would dry up. There is zero financial incentive for the political and military elite to end the conflict. Peace is bad for business. The politicians mourn the dead in public. Then they return to their offices, sign the requisition forms, and withdraw the cash in private. You might live in Lagos, or London, or New York, and think this violence does not affect you. You are wrong. You pay the cost of this cartel every time you buy food. The Middle Belt, Plateau, Benue, Kaduna is the food basket of Nigeria. They grow the yams, the maize, the potatoes, and the tomatoes that feed the massive coastal cities. When the farmers of Bokos and Mangu are chased into refugee camps by the mining militias, the crops are not planted. The harvest rots. The supply of food to the southern markets collapses. When you walk into a market in Lagos and complain that the price of a bag of rice or a basket of tomatoes has tripled, you are not just feeling the effect of a weak naira. You are feeling the direct economic impact of the lithium cartel. You are paying the inflation tax of the violence. The syndicates extract the clean energy for the West, and they leave starvation and toxic waste in the Nigerian soil. We look at the breaking news alerts and we see chaos. We are told it is a tragic failure of security. We are told it is an ancient tribal hatred over cattle. It is not a failure. It is a highly efficient, highly profitable corporate supply chain. The violence is simply the first step in the manufacturing process of a global commodity. It clears the land. The Chinese syndicates dig the ore. The Nigerian military escorts the trucks. The customs cartel stamps the export papers. The politicians pocket the security votes. And the Western tech companies buy the clean, finished product. Every player in the system profits. The only entity that loses is the citizen. The next time you read a headline about a farmer-herder clash in a resource-rich state, do not look for the cows. Look for the excavators. Look for the shipping containers. Colonialism did not end. It just updated its technology. They no longer use royal charters to seize the land. They use proxy militias and corporate loopholes. It is colonialism by contract, and it is signed in blood. This dossier exposes the true cost of the global technology boom. If this forensic breakdown changed how you view the violence in Nigeria, you must share it. Send it to someone who still believes the mainstream headlines about religious wars. We have exposed the oil cartel, the London banks, the shipping monopolies, and now the blood minerals. But there is one final piece of the extraction machine. The institution that forces nations to devalue their currency and remove their subsidies in the first place. If you want us to open the files on the IMF, the World Bank, and the currency devaluation trap, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now. Leave a comment below. Did you know about the Dodd-Frank loophole for US tech companies? Do you think the tech giants should be forced to audit their Nigerian supply chains? Let's read the records together. Pen touched paper and transferred ownership of the aluminium smelting company of Nigeria. The Nigerian government had spent $3.2 billion of public money building this massive industrial complex in Akwa Ibom State. But the contract signed that day did not sell the plant for $3 billion, it sold it for $250 million, so the buyer was a Russian company named Rusal, a multi-billion-dollar national asset, paid for by Nigerian taxpayers, was handed over at a 92% discount. Where did the remaining value go? It was wiped out by a single signature. When we talk about missing wealth in Nigeria, we usually look for money stolen from the treasury. Sure, but the greatest wealth transfer in Nigerian history was not a bank robbery. It was a legal process. It was called privatization. You are watching Historic Capital. This is the investigation into the Nigerian fire sale. Before 1988, the Nigerian government owned everything. The state owned the telecommunications network. The state owned the power grid. The state owned the hotels, the cement factories, the fertilizer plants, and the steel mills. These assets were built using the oil booms of the 1970s. They belonged to the public. But in 1986, the economy crashed. The government adopted the Structural Adjustment Program. The new financial doctrine was simple. The government is a bad businessman. The state must sell its companies to private investors. The process formally started in 1988 under military ruler General Ibrahim Babangida. He signed a decree creating the Technical Committee on Privatization and Commercialization. He appointed a man named Shamsuddin Usman to lead it. Between 1989 and 1993, this committee quietly sold off about 88 government-owned companies. But these were just the appetizers. The real feast happened a decade later. In 1999, Nigeria returned to civilian rule. The military handed over a nation that was rich in physical assets but broke in cash. The new president, Olusegun Obasanjo, decided it was time to open the vault. To sell a country legally, you need a law. In 1999, the government passed the Public Enterprises, Privatization and Commercialization Act. This piece of paper accelerated the sale of the nation. It created two powerful institutions. First, it created the National Council on Privatization, NCP. This was the board of directors. They chose which assets to sell and who could buy them. The chairman of this council was the Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar. Second, it created the Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE. This was the execution arm. They prepared the documents, ran the auctions, and handed over the keys. The man appointed to run this agency was Nasir El-Rufai. Together, these offices oversaw the largest transfer of state assets in African history. President Olusegun Obasanjo signed the final approvals. The stated goal was noble. They told the public, We are moving Nigeria from inefficient state control to efficient private ownership. It will create jobs. It will lower prices. But forensic accounting requires us to ignore the press release and look at the receipt. Let's look at who bought the assets. Let's go to Port Harcourt. The Nigerian government built the Eleme Petrochemicals Company. It was a massive facility designed to process the byproducts of oil refining. It was deliberately allowed to decay. The government stopped funding its maintenance. It was declared unprofitable. Once the value dropped, the Privatization Council stepped in. They sold a majority stake to the Indorama Corporation. Instantly, the unprofitable plant became a multi-billion-dollar private cash cow. Next, let's look at the hospitality sector. The government owned the Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. It was the premier hotel in the capital, generating daily cash flow from foreign diplomats and politicians. The government transferred this prime real estate to a company called the Transnational Corporation of Nigeria, Transcorp. Who owned Transcorp? It was not a foreign hedge fund. It was a consortium of Nigerian elites, politically connected billionaires and friends of the government. The people selling the public assets were sitting at the same dinner tables as the people buying them. Then, there was the telecommunications monopoly, NITEL, Nigerian Telecommunications Limited. NITEL owned the cables, the switches, and the infrastructure of the entire country. The government put NITEL up for sale, but the process was chaotic. Bidding consortia were formed, dissolved, and reformed. The government intentionally stalled the modernization of NITEL. While NITEL was being suffocated, the government auctioned GSM mobile licenses to private companies, MTN Group, Airtel Africa, and Globacom. The private telecoms exploded into multi-billion-dollar empires. NITEL was stripped for parts and died. The public asset was sacrificed so the private market could inherit its customers. The ultimate prize was the power sector. For decades, the power holding company of Nigeria, PHCN, controlled the electricity of 200 million people. The government argued that breaking up PHCN and selling it to private investors would end the blackouts. They unbundled the massive monopoly into smaller generation companies, Gencos, and distribution companies, Discos. Look at the Geregu power plant in Kogi State. A majority stake was sold to private investors. Across the country, power plants and distribution networks were handed over to consortia. But when investigators peeled back the corporate layers of these new power companies, they found something disturbing. Many of the companies that bought the power grid had no history of generating electricity. They were shell companies. They were special purpose vehicles, controlled by former generals, ex-governors, and political insiders. They did not buy the power grid to fix it. They bought the power grid to collect the tariffs. The privatization contracts guaranteed that the Nigerian government would cover their shortfalls. If they failed to supply power, the government paid them a subsidy. If they supplied power, they billed the citizens. They assumed zero risk. They captured 100% of the upside. Who pays the cost of this fire sale? You do. The promise of privatization was efficiency. The reality is extraction. When you buy a prepaid meter and pay triple the price for electricity, you are paying the dividend of the PHCN privatization. When you buy a plane ticket and the price is inflated because the aviation fuel has to be imported, you are paying the cost of the dead state refineries. The Nigerian worker paid to build these assets with his taxes in the 1970s and 1980s. Then the assets were sold to the elite at a discount. Now the worker pays the elite a daily fee just to use the asset he originally built. It is a double taxation. The state took the public wealth, transferred it to a few private hands, and gave the public the bill. This is why Nigeria has some of the richest billionaires in Africa, but the highest number of people living in extreme poverty. The wealth did not evaporate. It was transferred. When Nigerians talk about how national assets disappeared, the story is often told as if some invisible foreign hand took them away. We blame the IMF, we blame the World Bank, we blame the global markets, but the official records tell a different story. Look at the signatures on the contracts. Privatization in Nigeria was not carried out in secret meetings in Washington or London. It was carried out by Nigerian presidents. It was drafted by Nigerian ministers. It was approved by Nigerian privatization councils. It was executed by Nigerian regulatory agencies. The ink on the paper was Nigerian. They did not sell the country to strangers. They sold the country to themselves. This investigation proves that corruption in Nigeria is not a mistake. It is an economic model, but there is one final sector we have not uncovered. It is the ultimate prize, the asset that funds the entire machine.
Ojú dẹ̀ ń tì mí. Ẹ̀bọn tó ń tì mí lójú. Ẹ wo ìtútàn pa láàrin Nàìjíríà. Ṣé rí pé Rúfáì àtàtìkù? Ṣé rí pé ṣe lè ká mú wọn lọ gálò? Rúfáì àtàtìkù náà wá jọ fọ́ọ̀mù ADC sí ìtàn fẹ́ wá fi rúlù wa. Tá a bá rí ti kí náà pẹ̀ tó ṣe ṣáàmà wọn David Mark ló dídí sọ fún Buhari pé tí Buhari bá gbé ìjọba June 12 fún Abiola olóhùn àgbéṣọ póhùn ní Abiola níbọn pa. David Mark àtàwọn kàbá náà ti tó kù ni wọn jẹ́ kí Buhari gbé ìjọba fún Abiola àtàwọn máa lé ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kan sọ́pọ̀tì wọn. Káwa Yorùbá fúnra wa ń brave. Ṣé ẹ gbọ́ fídíò yẹn lóòótọ́ ó pọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n ìwà àṣírí tó ń tú nú ẹ̀. Ó kọ́ fọ̀rọ̀ pípa tí Fúlàní ń pa àwọn èèyàn ìtumọ̀ pípa yẹn kí ló fẹ́ achieve. Wọ́n bá ti pa wọ́n tán kó lọ sáìtì yẹn wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lọ máa máìlì. Ẹ̀wọ̀n tó táwọn governors náà pa. Ẹ gbọ́ ṣé pápápá ní Fúlàní làwọn náà làwọn army wa làwọn military wa máa wá láyé ìṣẹ́gun yẹn. Wọ́n ti sọ di political killings torí pé wọ́n rí nǹkan rí ń bẹ̀. At the detriment of aráàlú tán láwọn rúlù. Then two, ẹwọ́n mọ́ ṣe ba ọrọ̀ ajé wa jẹ́ látàyè Babangida lórí Rúfáì àti Àtìkù. Wọ́n ta gbogbo Nàìjíríà, wọ́n ta àwọn òní wa. Tinubu náà wá fún kùmọ̀ inú mi lẹ́dùn pé orí àwọn Yíbò ti pé báyìí, orí wọn ti ń pé àwọn máa lé Yorùbá kan ló kù. Òbí níṣẹ́ òbí la fẹ́ kúlé lórí tẹ́fà tí bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní play àwọn atrocities àwọn Yíbò yẹn ti wá ń jáde gan, wọ́n ti wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní sọ̀rọ̀ nípa atrocities tóbi. Lọ́la alágbára Ọlọ́run máa play àwọn videos méjì kan fún wa bí ní sọ̀rọ̀ akọ́nìkẹ́ gbọ́ ti ṣàkọ́tọ́ àti ṣàkósì àwa jọ gbọ́ tuntun ọjọ́ pa àtìlérí tí wọ́n ṣe tán fi kó Yorùbá méè látà ọbẹ̀ jẹ́. Tinubu làwọn ìyá rẹ̀ ní ọjà mọ̀ ohun táwa nídìí lọ́wọ́ Tinubu òní security ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹ jẹ́ fi ìtọ́wò yìí kí n fi tọ́ wa lẹ́nu propaganda náà kàn ṣe lórí máa yẹn káàkiri he has done nothing wrong. Ṣé rí kinní kan wà tí mo fẹ́ kí mo pé owó á mọ̀. Tinubu wọn bí tí bàtà ti ń ta wá lẹ́sẹ̀ tó ráwọn ni wọ́n jọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ kí bàtà yẹn ta wá lẹ́sẹ̀. Nígbà tí ìjọba ti wá wà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ sí ó lóun fẹ́ tú bàtà yẹn lẹ́sẹ̀ wa. Àwọn tí wọ́n rí jẹ níbi kí bàtà máa ta wá lẹ́sẹ̀ ní rárá. The man is working, we might not know. Press wà ní àwọn kàbá tí wọ́n jẹ́ kíṣẹ́ Tinubu yọ press. Ìdí tí press dẹ̀ máa fi wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé press tó bá ti ń sọ nǹkan tó fẹ́ fọ Tinubu kò ní rẹ́ni wo mú. Nítawọn press yẹn kú ṣe tọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ kú ṣe stick. Àwa kọ̀ọ̀kan wà tá à kí ẹ̀. Fẹ́ try followers tí mo ti lose ni. Torí pé àwọn èèyàn ara wọn kò tọrọ. Press tó bá ready láti lose viewers tàbí láti lose listeners. Press yẹn ló máa sọ dáadáa tí Tinubu ṣe jáde síta. But press tó bá jẹ́ kó fẹ́ káwọn èèyàn máa wò ó bí tàwọn kan tí gbogbo wa mọ̀ tó jẹ́ millions followers náà ní even billions views náà ti ní. Àwọn yẹn adókòwò wọn a máa kódà ọ̀tá Tinubu náà ló gbogbo wọn irú àwọn èèyàn wò wọ́n kò wá sí press tó láyà kòkò tó láyà tó fẹ́ máa gbé dáadáa Tinubu jáde bẹ̀tà wa kan wà àrùn ìrànṣẹ́ bí followers lọ ìmí àwa báwo èèyàn wọ́n subscribe ẹni máa subscribe àwa a lè máa rálẹ̀ o bẹ̀tọ́ lọ́jì máa bá gbé wa dìde padà since 2023 mo ti lose followers mi kí ẹ̀ mi ìṣàkùṣe bẹ́mi rè torí báwo ò ní parọ́ àwa fẹ́ dúró sí di òdodo Tinubu tán ní òṣè dáadáa Tinubu construct títì kan láti odidi Èkó lọ sí Calabar lọ sí south tí ẹ bá wo bí títì yẹn ṣe tíì ẹ mọ títì mi ríru Èkó ni mo ti ń rí irú títì yẹn látẹ̀pẹ́ ni mo ti ń rí irú títì yẹn lọ sájà kọ̀ọ̀kan yẹn wọ́n máa gbẹ́ ilẹ̀ wọnú wọ́n á wá kọ́ńkírẹ́ẹ̀tì ilẹ̀ yẹn wá sókè wọ́n á tẹ́ irin sí bí ẹni wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe dẹ́kìn wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe bridge títì bí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe bridge àwọn powerful and very thick rod iron rod tí wọ́n lé ẹ̀ sí títì tó wá kọ́ńkírẹ́ẹ̀tì ẹ̀ ga sókè wọ́n á dẹ̀ ṣe látòdìdí ilẹ̀ south yẹn wá sẹ́kọ̀ọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n ṣe ti ọ̀nà bóyá Òṣogbo àbíbí kan náà lọ sí Àbújá ẹnìkan wá lọ síbẹ̀ àlójọ́ ọmọ Ìgbò ti là àti south Yorùbá ló tàjẹ́ pé àfẹ́ trend yẹn sẹ́ rárá àfẹ́ gbọ́ ti Tinubu sẹ́ àwọn Ìgbò yẹn tẹ̀ ló yà lẹ́nu fojú ojú wọn ti là gan wọ́n ti rí gbogbo rọ́tọ́ pamọ́ Tinubu pé ìrọ̀nà pa nígbàrú David Mark Atiku El-Rufai Rotimi Amechi Obi tí wọ́n kóra wọn jọ sínú pátì kan bí kankan bá wọlé nínú wọn Nàìjíríà dáràn lẹ́lẹ́kẹ̀ ìfà Tinubu lẹ́rí tẹ̀bú ẹgbẹ́ ìwo lọ ti àwọn nítorí wọ́n fojú wa wọ́n ṣe ń gé ẹ̀rọ ajá máa jẹ ìwà wa ká máa bomi sí báyìí àwọn máa gbẹ ìwà kó pátápátá wà nírẹ̀wà ẹ̀jẹ̀ coach me ẹ jẹ́ ká take risk yẹn náà kí kọ̀ọ̀kan ló wọn wọlé wọ́n interview Àtíkù ìjọba ní is it bad for me to let my friend become a millionaire I sold Nigeria to them so lórí national TV mo dẹ̀ wò pé àbí AI ò tí popular gbà ẹ̀ wọ́n wò àbí wọ́n ṣe AI fún máa yìí ni ó sọ́pọ̀ tíjú girlfriend ẹ̀ wà náà tó ra disco distribution company girlfriend Àtíkù wà náà tó ra iná òdìdí ìlú fúnra wọn decide àwọn ọmọ generation Genco àti disco àwọn méjì tó níná wa lọ́wọ́ nìyẹn ní tó bá wọn náà lè fi ṣe Àtíkù ti ta fún wọn tẹ́tẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn owó náà rà àwọn tó dọ̀rẹ́ tán súnmọ́ very very cheap ẹ gbọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ gbọ́ nu fídíò ta gbọ́ tán tó bá pẹ́ lóòótọ́ ni Tinubu ò ṣe dáadáa èmi máa fi wálẹ̀ pẹ̀lú fídíòs méjì kan ọ̀nà tó ṣe yẹn àti kẹ́ẹ̀gbọ́ owó tí Tinubu allocate mo sọ bí jẹta pé àwọn tó ń gba 10,000 tẹ́lẹ̀ Tinubu sọ́dọ̀ 10,000 fún wọn àṣebẹ́ẹ̀ náà ló ṣe sí local government kìí ṣe state nìkan nítorí ìpòjọ subsidy bọ́lá governors wa kò sí most of our governors wa náà jẹ́ kí local government gbérí for 8 years Obi ò conduct local government election for good 8 years no local government election fọdún mẹ́jọ Tóbi fi rúlù nílùú wọn àwọn tó dẹ̀ conduct election náà táwọn chairman wọlé àwa náà kú mọ̀ wọn à ń gbọ́ wọn ò jẹ́ káwọn chairman lẹ́nu ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn náà gba àwọn governor jẹ́ ló gbowó local government tó ń kó sápò àdẹ̀ríṣẹ́ tán ṣe sílùú AI ní gbogbo iṣẹ́ tá a rí tán post kiri páwọn ṣe ẹbẹ̀ àwọn governors káàkiri gbogbo Nàìjíríà léèrè ẹbẹ̀ àwọn governors wọn léèrè kí ni wọ́n ṣe Tinubu gbogbo ara yín mọ́ ṣé lóòótọ́ ni Tinubu allocate owó ẹ̀rí fídíò yẹn sí gbogbo local government 700 plus tó wà Nàìjíríà bí 7,000 plus tó wà Nàìjíríà gbogbo local government yẹn ló fún the same amount máa ní complain gbọ́ then ẹyọ kan nínú àwọn ọ̀nà tí Tinubu ṣe tó ń yà wá lẹ́nu ẹ bá ń play kí ní ẹ̀jẹ̀ fi wálẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ẹ̀.
I am live in Calabar, Siam. Na coastal road for Calabar nowadays like this. Those of you wait us say Tinubu just dey do coastal road for Lagos, make e use and develop Lagos myself. Siam, this one na Calabar dey like this. As that road dey come from Lagos, na so e dey come from Calabar. Come and see the quality of the road. Come and see the kind of amazing work the president is doing here. Do you see the quality of the road? Do you see the iron? 100 years guarantee come. Nobody dey coalition wey get this brain. See the road, see the thickness. Even tall pass my leg. Abeg come and see road. I show una Lagos Calabar expressway. Una tell me say Tinubu no go fit finish am. Tinubu no go fit finish am. See am as they do am, they come from Lagos. Na so e dey Calabar here. They do am from Calabar. They go. You don ever see this kind thing before? Na don see am before? The road don develop from Calabar. See, let me tell you, coastal road, there are some country in this world na only coastal road they depend on. See the road where there since 3 days they call Calabar never reach. For inside Nigeria, the road I reach in the night very tired. You understand? So it go come take you 5 hours from here to Lagos. Do you know how Calabar go develop? Calabar get seaport. Tinubu is working on it. Seaport for Lagos. Everything go dey pass here. Come and see the quality of the road. Come and see the road. Come and see the kind of massive work. If you don't jog like this, you feel jog, no, you don't reach Lagos. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has come to stay. 4 + 4 = 8. None of them get the brain to do this road. 4 + 4. If you're not supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you are an enemy of this country. I go travel, go everywhere to show na the work where Tinubu they do.
Any Nigerian citizen we no like the kind work wey Baba Tinubu dey do for us, just know say that person na enemy of progress. My brother, my sister, remove hatred, remove tribalism, and remove sentiment. Baba Tinubu dey work. Just take a look. Tell yourself the honest truth. Look at the kind of iron wey they put for road before starting pouring the colota and the cement. In next 50 years, this road go still there as e dey. I wan make you watch the full video.
Government in Delta today has 7 billion dedicated to just that local government. And when you put 7 billion and you times it by the 25 local government area, you are talking about 175 billion.
I hope you dey hear am. No be from Ezenwa. I hope you dey hear am. No be from Ezenwa. Oga, na 7 billion na im be money wey dey pay for each local government. 7 billion naira. Na im be the allocation wey they give every local government for each state. 7 billion. Tomorrow, you go come social media, they attack Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You know well where your problem start. You know you are governor, you are local government chairman, you are councillor. All these people where they appoint, where they represent you for Abuja, all the senators, and then be a problem. How many of you know your local government chairman? Also, if I don't know your local government chairman, now 7 billion that they pay him. Or 7 billion. Now they be government allocation every month for each local government. Well, consider me that con the drag to Rumbo. No, well.